we're always told that it's almost impossible to develop computer games for little girls, but when you get to the computer things that big girls use, that adults use, the Twitters and Facebooks and things like that, it is primarily women. So this is just sort of a tectonic shift that's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're totally right. The #1 users on so many of these social networks are women. But more importantly, I like to think that tech is growing up. We're seeing tech infiltrate things like education, healthcare, space, finance. And that allows for other types of profiles to enter because it's not just about building software anymore. Some of these companies that have the most funding, let's say in education, Coursera, 84 million in funding led by women.
So is this just, tech is a business now? It's not just tech. You don't have to be techie, but you have to be a business manager.
Yeah, and what we say in Silicon Valley, software is eating the world.
So does this mean that the women who are being hired in those impressive numbers that Mike was just telling us are not so much being hired as programmers and coders, but more sales, administrative?
You couldn't make that generalization altogether. Some of the people that are at the top of some of these companies are still engineers, are designers. So it's a mix of different talents, all the way from the founder, all the way down to a manager, you know, running the marketing strategy.
Within the mix of different talents, is it just the time is marching on? And we've got the idea of a lot more women coming out of absolute top programs and top majors. I think of Marissa Mayer coming out of organizational research at Stanford.
Yeah, I think that is one piece, but I really do think it's about the diversification of tech. It's that we're not just building software, we're going into industries where women come out of education, for example, and they realize, oh, I think I can make this a tech company.
Was there a thinner glass ceiling in the tech industry than in other industries? Has it been easier for women to move into management roles in tech than in industry, say?
Well, I would say in general, startups, technology is very meritocratic. You have to have a good product, you have to have a great idea, and then you just have to secure that funding. So if you have all that together, there's a new wave of investors who are gender blind. We see them all the time. I can rattle off a number of investors who show nearly 20% of their female founders are now female, are funded are female.
What's the energy for next year? I mean, when you go to all these different confabs, I know you're not a thought leader, you actually do something. David Brooks wrote about that today. We'll get to that in a bit. But when you go to all the confabs and everybody wears black T-shirts and hangs out, you're looking great in black today. But, you know, everybody shows up and they're all tasteful and all that. What's the thing for next year for women in technology?
The thing for next year is just for them to have that opportunity to enter in a place where they don't have to be technical.
Get in the door and then they prove themselves like everybody else.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the whole point of technology, is it levels the playing field.
Emily White at Snapchat. I don't know who she is. Who's Emily White at Snapchat?
So Emily was previously the COO of Instagram, and she just made her way up. She was previously at, I think, Facebook and Google before that, and she just made her way up, and now she's running Snapchat.
So she's got stock options from Google, Facebook,
probably, yes.
Instagram. She got the kick out on the acquisition, maybe?
Yeah.
She's sitting pretty right now. Yeah. Well, here's a question. Sheryl Sandberg executes Mark Zuckerberg's vision over at Facebook. She's the chief operating officer. Do you see her imprint, though, on Facebook's functions, on its layout, or is she just doing what someone else has envisioned and has come up with?
I think that's a really good point, because the vision of a company does come from the founder. And the changes that will come in the tech industry will come from the founding level and from the investor level. So the minute you have more women on the founding level, you'll see a different culture in the company. You'll see a different design in the product.
I was at the Scenic Piano Bar in Davos. There was Marissa Mayer with baby carriage in tow. The au pair was off skiing or whatever. Here's David Brooks today. This is a fabulous essay on thought leaders. Everybody knows I'm deaf on this whole concept of the thought leader. The middle-aged thought leader's life has hit equilibrium composed of work, children, and Bikram yoga. The desire to be snarky vanishes with the birth of the first child. His or her prose has never been so lacking in irony and effect. It's still the idea. I mean, it's true. I mean, the whole idea here of the family shift, how do you fold that into what you see at Women 2.0?
So what I'm seeing is, as these women decide to start companies, they're deciding to set the culture the way they want to do it. And that involves having the baby carriage show up, or that involves being flexible during periods where, you know what, I need to go off and have a child.
Well, that's happened in industries across America as women have moved in.
Exactly.
For software, for internet business in general, does it matter that women are in charge now, that and much more? How's it going to change that?
Well, it is important. It's important because of what we talked about right at the beginning, right? The numbers are staggering in terms of users, in terms of the number of people that buy products online. It's all majority women. 72% of daily active users on Facebook are women. 60%.
72% of Facebook women?
Daily active users. So the number of women that check in, leave a comment, push a like are women, right? And then Snapchat, 60% of Snapchat users are women.
And what about these, you still hear these controversies around programmers, and periodically pops up. It seems like on social networks especially, companies get criticized.
Absolutely.
It's bad for business, right, to have sort of a
It's bad for business, and it's real. That's still there. And that's hard for diversification in terms of, building products where you actually work out through all night and play ping pong at midnight. Absolutely, that has to change, and it's slowly changing, like I said, from the top. When a female founder is there, she is a CEO, she changes the culture, and she decides, no, we're not going to do this.
You talk about how e-commerce is more geared towards women because women are a lot of the end users. Social media, the same way.
Right.
What about a gender-neutral tech segment like the cloud, for instance? Are we seeing more women there?
That's a good question. I would say that we haven't seen so much happening there just yet. And I think the best part is women are leveraging their strengths. They're realizing that I'm really good at building products that I can address my own audience. So there is a wave of niche e-commerce businesses that we see at Women 2.0.
Quickly, one final question. You come out of the wonderful Combine in Western Ontario. It's a terrific school. How big is it to be in STEM, in mathematics, engineering, and the rest of it, science, for women within technology?
It's huge.
It's like huge.
Absolutely.
It's like the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Only because, let's say, you don't have to be that engineer, but if you can absolutely talk the talk and be able to, direct an engineer to make things happen, that's the most important thing.